Okay, so we're going to assume now that you've created all your 6 sides. So I still haven't created those 3 sides, but that's okay for what I'm doing and showing you that this will be fine. So a couple of things. This plane that we created, it's nice to have it there. But if there's something that you don't want to see anymore, you can just simply click on it. You should be able to click on it as long as you select the plane, and then right click on it, and you can actually hide. You can show and hide that. And now if I hit the escape button, you'll notice that that plane is there, but it's hidden. Okay. So I want to just talk to you a little bit about what this history tree. So we noticed in the last one that we had the holes here. Okay, and then we did a plane, which you can see there, and then we did a mirror. So this is actually like a chronological order from start to finish of what you've done and created in your part. That's really cool and really useful. So I can go in there at any point and say, look, if I wasn't happy with something, maybe before the mirror, I can like go before the mirror and add something, and then include it when I do mirror it again. So it's what we call parametric modeling. So everything has a purpose, everything has a dimension, and everything is controlled by something. So and it's all based on history, or what we call chronological history. Excuse me. So what I want to actually do right now is I want to do customization. So it's going to be kind of boring if we all make the same die, right? So I want everyone to kind of customize it. So here's your option. Here's your opportunity to have a little fun and do something unique. So the character 1, okay, which is the 1 dot. I'm not really happy with that 1 dot. So I want to go back to roll back to where we just had the extrude, okay? And actually I want to bring up just the one hole. So I'll move that little handle so it goes just before that first hole. And I actually am going to go on this feature here, and I'm going to delete that hole, okay? Because I don't want it. I just don't want it. So I hit delete, and that's good. I'm still, if you notice, rolled back to that state, which is where I want to be. Now what I want to do is actually create, in my case, I like my last name. I'm happy with that. I want to create the little letter B, because the B is the customized. This is Bureau. This is Bureau's dice, okay? So we're gonna create the letter B. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Sketch again, and I'm gonna click this side because that's the side that has the 1 that I just deleted. And in here I'm gonna create some text. Okay. And again, we're sketching in this area, and I know I told you to create text um, or create geometry in Sketch with fully constrained, but everything being black and everything fully dimensioned. That's cool to do that, but in this case, because we're just adding text and we're gonna just eyeball it just to do this, um, you don't have to get that crazy with locating it. Okay, just whatever looks proper here. And if you don't want to do text, if you want to do some other geometry, so there is, let me just hit OK here. So I basically, in the text box here, I put my initial B. You can adjust the height. I'm happy with 10 millimeters. It's nice and big. It's legible. Don't make it too small because the printer only has 0.2 millimeter resolution. So if you make anything under like 1 millimeter, it won't show up very well at all. So I'm just going to hit OK. And at this point, you can actually move the B around, okay, and center it. Just make it look nice, roughly, and then be happy. Some other things, if you want to create other polygons, you can create different polygons. You can create something unique, but for what we're doing, I think if you want to do a letter or your initials or something here, that would be super cool. Maybe the initial of your last name, or just your 2 initials beside each other. Something like that, I'm thinking. But you can create whatever you want, okay? If you want to create a custom like star or something like that, you would choose a polygon. You'll have to create the geometry, but you can sketch that in that sketch area. As long as it's within sort of in the middle of this surface, you should be good. So when I'm happy with that, I'm going to finish sketch. So you'll notice it brought me out of the sketch. And now I'm going to hit extrude. So I'm going to hit extrude again. And what I want to do this time is I want to create what's called a cut. So under operation, I want to basically tell it to do a cut. And you notice the arrow is pointing out, so I actually have to go -2 millimeters. So now it's going to go inwards because the direction by default going out of an object is what's called the positive distance in this program. So we want to go -2 because it's want to cut this into the object. Okay, so it's important that the operation is shown as a cut and that the distance here is -2, and I'm going to hit OK, and you'll see that it actually embossed my letter B into the cube, which is super cool. Now I'm looking there and I'm also going, well, 2 millimeters is pretty deep. Okay, now I want to change actually how far it is deep. Well, I could undo, okay, which would undo this extrude, or I can just go down here to my history tree, right click on it, and say edit feature. And this was super cool, is I can go back in there and say, okay, instead of it being 2 millimeters, we can maybe go 1.5. All right, and just change that in there and hit OK, and it automatically updates it. Okay, so that's what's super cool about modeling in 3D, is that you're not wasting your time. Like, everything has a purpose, and you do something once and you do it right, and then you can keep going. So at this point, I'm pretty happy with everything. I'm going to roll everything forward, and you'll notice all my other sides come back and everything's looking good. I'm just now having to finish the die. So the die itself has got really sharp edges, okay? And that's not really good for 3D printing. It's not going to be what we want from a dice. So we want to add these little rounds to the edges, okay, to all the edges. So that's going to be our last thing that we're going to do. So on the top toolbar, you'll notice there's Modify Tools, and you'll see this one that looks like Fillet, okay? It says Fillet over here. All right, we're going to click on that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to actually select all the edges. This takes a little bit of practice, okay? And if you do something wrong, just hit the escape key and get out of the command. But I'm going to pick all the edges I can see with it in this view. Then I'm going to hold the shift key and I'm going to rotate again. And this time I'm going to select all the other edges, okay? And I think at this point I've selected all of the 12 edges that are in the cube. Okay. All right. So we're good. All right. And it's looking really good. And at this point, I'm going to say the radius needs to be, I think 1 millimeter looks really cool. Now, you'll notice that this corner here, this radius here, is what's called the corner type here. So there's rolling ball and then there's setback. I really like the setback option. It makes it look really, really nice. And now it's starting to look like some professionally modeled cube, okay? So I really like that setback corner type. You can leave it as the other one. You can decide whatever fillet you want, 1.5, 2 even. You'll notice that if you go too big, you're going to start getting into your circles, okay, your holes. So I think 1 is pretty acceptable. I'm going to hit OK. And at this point, we are now, folks, we are now done our cube, and we are essentially ready to 3D print. Okay, so I'm going to save this here. So hit save, and you can locate it in your own folder. So I have my own folders in here for some projects we've been working on. You can create a location inside that toolbar, and then you can call it your own dice. In this case, Biro Dice. Tutorial. Okay, so I know I created in the tutorial, hit enter, and it's going to save in that location. If you want to bring up your data panel, it's this waffle up in the corner. You can bring that up, and you can always bring up your 3D files that you've been working on here. Okay, so that, folks, is your first die. I really look forward to seeing what you can come up with and seeing all your designs. And this is a really cool thing that can be 3D printed in about 30 to 40 minutes. So once you're done, you can send me an email, let me know, share the file with me, so you can actually invite me over here through the email address of jbiro@hwdsb.on.ca. So you can invite me to your design. I can then pull up your design and actually export it for 3D printing within the Fusion program, which is really cool. Okay, folks, so thanks.